So our guest today, of course, is an actor that whose performances we all enjoyed, we continue to enjoy, whose films we look forward to. He's an actor who's not only a big, huge movie star, but also someone who's done incredible work in films like Haider, Kamine, Jab We Met, Urta Punjab. He really manages to, to be the star and also bring these huge, credible performances to his work. Let's hear a loud round of applause for the one, the only Shahid Kapoor.
Okay, Shahid, let's start with one of your Instagram posts. By the way, Shahid has 6.4 million followers on Instagram. So here's something he posted. What success actually looks like and what people think it looks like. So Shahid, tell us what this means and where are you in this tangled journey of what it actually looks like?
First of all, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and it's nice to see all of you all here. Hello, hello. To all the waving hands and smiling faces, it's awesome to be here at MAMI, and thank you so much for calling me. I never really felt I was qualified, but now I feel special, so thank you so much. Where I stand, first of all, considering that I would consider myself to be successful, I don't really think I'm successful. I think I have had some really successful moments in my life, and I think, I don't know, I think I'm somewhere in the middle there, figuring it out still. But I think now, after 13 years of work, I'm somewhere towards the last part. Somewhere. I think I'm about to figure it out. My moment of enlightenment is going to happen any second now. Maybe it's going to happen here on this beautiful sofa.
In the next hour.
Shahid, you had said in an interview that you gave in 2010, that's like 6 years ago, you'd said, I would rather do a successful film than a good film.
You are holding me by something I said in 2010. Okay,
so
what
the question
did I say?
So the question is that still true?
No. No, I don't think there's any difference in the two anymore. I think if you make a good film, it's definitely going to be successful. So I'd rather put my money on being in a part of a good film, because it's really difficult to define what's successful. And I guess that's the time when I thought that success was a straight line. And then many years later, I realized it wasn't. So the idea is not to chase success. The idea is to chase the experience of why we all signed up. I wanted to do this because I wanted to do something that I love. So every time you love something, you read something that you love, or you meet somebody who you love in terms of how he views cinema, or how he wants to make a movie, or how he's interpreting your character. The minute you feel that feeling that this is really exciting, you need to hold on to that and actually throw out all the thoughts that come after that, which will then make you change your mind. Stick to that first instinct and stick to the fact that there's something that's exciting you, and just back that feeling. That's pretty much what I do now.
But do you feel like there has been a deliberate change of approach? Do you feel like what you were seeking has changed?
Yeah. I was seeking success, pretty much, in the first...
In the conventional sense,
yes,
box office.
Just success,
right.
Success. Wanting to be successful. That kind of became the focus of what I was doing, and today, for me, the focus is not on success. Success is a byproduct. The focus is on the process and enjoying what I do and trying to get better at what I do and trying to do different things and trying to rediscover myself, trying to participate in opportunities which are risky. And I guess the only time you can ever be original is if you do something that hasn't been done before. And most of the times when you try and do something which has been done before and you think it's successful, you look stale, you look boring, and you look like you're trying to be one of the many. So the idea is to try and invest in something that's different and that's new and that's scary and that you don't know is going to be successful or not. I think that's really the more exciting journey and the more relevant journey, and I think that's the direction in which cinema is going right now anyways.
So what are you hungry for now, Shahid? As an actor, what would you like to do?
I'm hungry to explore. I'm hungry to be given opportunities. I'm hungry to work with the best and do work which is exciting and which breaks norms and which breaks barriers. And I'm not afraid I'm happy for somebody to throw me in the deep end of the sea. I want to do that. I want to be thrown into spaces which I haven't experienced, which maybe nobody has ever experienced, and I want to see what happens. I don't care. Like I don't worry about the result because I'm not result oriented anymore.
But
I'm
do you think about
process
your
oriented.
image? Do you think about your stardom? Do you think about your hero?
I don't think I'm such a big superstar that I have an image. There might be stars, and I think most of them belong to the generation that started out 25 years back, maybe. I don't think there's anybody from the current generation, and I consider myself somebody who's from the newer lot. At least my most relevant work has been in the last 5 years, so the best of me is remembered in the last 5 years. And I don't think any of us have an image. I mean, who has an image? I mean, some of us are trying to believe that we have an image and trying to cater to that, but that's more a very personal thought because we are looking at the past and drawing inspiration from the past. I don't think that's a good idea. I think it's important to stop looking at the past to find a way forward. To look at the past is great. To look at great people and to see what they've achieved and what they've done is to find inspiration to do better work. But you cannot find the way forward by looking backwards. You have to see that, feel inspired, and then do something original. So I don't really think there's any actor today who has an image who's from this generation. So I definitely don't think that I have an image.
So when you sign a film, if there is a film that's like really dark, really edgy material, do you ever pause to say, what will the Shanatics say?
I think they love stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. I've always found huge support, especially from my core audience, or you might want to say people who admire my work or like me and are very, vocal and vociferous about it. I have never seen a negative message from anybody when I did a film like Urta Punjab or where I was playing a really messed up character, And I don't know why we feel that. I don't think people think that the guy they're seeing on screen is the person in reality. So why should a character that you play influence how people view you personally? Because there's so many ways. There was a time 20 years back where there was no way of anybody understanding who, say, an Amitabh Bachchan was, apart from the films that they saw. But today is a very different time. I mean, there are so many opportunities where people view you in real life that I think their association with who you are personally and the characters that you play are very, very, very clear and differentiated. I don't think there's any confusion in that. Yes, this thought would be true 20 years back, but I don't see I don't see it relevant today.
Shahid, would the Shahid Kapoor of 5 or 7 years ago sign Padmavati? A film which is a two-hero project, which is with a director who already has a relationship with the other two actors.
I hope Padmavati came to me 5 or 6 years back, and I hope I did it. But I'm happy that it's coming to me today. I'm happy that I'm working with a filmmaker like Sanjay Leela Bhansali. In fact, when I saw his last film, Bajirao Mastani, I went berserk on Twitter because I absolutely loved it. And I expressed very openly how much I enjoyed the film, and I thought it was a really good experience, and I was really happy to see an Indian film being made at that size and that scale. And the fact that it did exceedingly well. It went on, continued to do well. So you know that it was a film that was loved by people. So I'm grateful and thankful for that opportunity. And if 5 years back I said no to it, I hope somebody came and whacked me on my head and said that's the biggest mistake of your life. So maybe it's coming to me today, maybe because I'm ready for it. And I don't really think that, and this is the stuff I've been reading in the papers, and I find it absurd when people say, two-hero film hai. मतलब two-hero film है, मतलब the film has 3 principal characters. तो उड़ता पंजाब भी तो two-hero film थी और two-heroine film थी. But these are just ways of creating, I think, some kind of material which is exciting at a very frivolous level. It's a great opportunity for all 3 of us, I would say. It's a great role for Deepika, it's a fantastic role for Ranveer, and it's a great role for me. And I'm so happy that the film has got cast the way that it has, and all 3 of us are participating in it, and this film's getting made. And we hope we can put together a great cinematic experience for the audience, because eventually that's all they want. They just want a really good movie. They're tired of sitting excitedly, eating popcorn and then 40 minutes later looking at each other and saying, man, we should have just gone out for dinner. We don't want to do that anymore.
Shahid, at this success party of Urta Punjab, you said that after Kamine, you lost track. but you said you didn't want to repeat the same mistake after Haidar. You want to do better roles. How hard are you willing to push yourself as an actor?
I think once you get an opportunity to invest in it and give it your best is something I think most people do. I don't think there's anybody who sits around. The time is gone where stars used to behave like stars. When
You don't behave
they
like
could
a star.
have ponches and they could just, sit in their bungalows and then walk out and just do, and people would go, oh my God. I think that time's gone. I think you have to work really hard. You've got to train hard and stay fit and eat right and do your research and, know how to wear the right clothes and say the right things and, be perceived correctly, and you need to know how to talk to people when you're at a party. You need to be able to come across as being accessible and open, and these are things that didn't exist 10, 15 years back. So I think today, there was a time where the stars were the people who were being serviced, but I think today we're in a time where the stars need to learn how to service. Filmmakers, the audience, you guys, we got to understand how to interact with everybody and make people feel comfortable. Yeah, so I think the hardest part about making your choices today is to learn to wait. I think that's the hardest part because everybody wants to do something. And it's very difficult today to sit and say, I'm going to wait. Because you feel like life's going to run by. You feel like, if I wait, somebody's going to run ahead and grab all those amazing opportunities. But actually, it's not a race. It's like a strategic strike. You got to wait for the right one and make that one count. And I think that's where we are when it comes to cinema today as well.
Shad, we're going to take a look at another picture from your Instagram. And then there's a... Do you see any contradiction, Shahid, between being a serious actor and this?
Rajeev, have you ever tried to make abs?
I mean, I didn't.
It's serious work, I promise you. There are days I'm grinding in the gym where I feel like I should have stuck to just being a serious actor. This is really hard work.
I fully believe you.
No, this is a lot of work, and but it shouldn't be the only work. I think what tends to happen is that sometimes this becomes the only focus, and it can happen because looking really, really sharp and fit all the time can take a lot of your time.
Look at that.
Okay, can we stop with these guys? Slightly embarrassing. Okay, whoever's up there, please.
We've just done this to embarrass you. No, the reason why this question is because, Rishi Kapoor had said, in fact, he said it at the Mela last year. He said it at this very event. He said that an actor shouldn't be so invested in his body. His exact words, in fact, were, today's actors are very conscious about being fit and having a six-pack abs. They shouldn't do it. Somewhere down the line, when you're aware of the fact that you've got a very good body, you want that to reflect on screen. You're not working as an actor. Somewhere down the line, your vanity is showing. Do you think that's true?
It's Rishi Ji, so obviously his point is extremely valid and relevant. But I do feel that that's essentially the journey we have today because we're pretty much aware of everything. Everything is out there. There's nothing that you're not aware of. So your journey as an actor is, even though you're aware, to learn to forget. Because that's something that it's not possible today to live in a bubble of wanting to do what you want to do. I think what's important is, like when I was doing Udta Punjab, for example, I had to train very hard to get into this shape. But once I reach set, I need to forget about that and I need to invest in the character. At least that was my approach. And I think what he's saying is true and relevant for his time. I don't know whether that's something you can afford to do today. It might be idealistic and it might be the right advice. But looking at the scenario and seeing how things are, I don't know if that's something that I would risk. And on another note, I really like being fit. I really like training hard. I'm very proud of the fact that I maintain my body and I try and look the best that I can. So it's a part of my lifestyle. And I never try and force it in a film where it's not required. In Haidar, there was absolutely no need and therefore there was no indulgence. And in fact, when I was doing the film, I didn't train at all for 3 months because we were in Pahalgam and it was minus 20 degrees. And I remember we did this massive emotional scene and I came back and it was extremely cold. And I went to the gym and I lifted I did 3 sets of something and I blacked out and I fell down. And I got up and I said, okay, on this film, let's just focus on acting. I don't think I can train at all. So you have to learn to make smart choices.
Right.
And as far as it's not, out of context, why not? It's great to be fit. I love being fit.
Shahid, you talked about waiting, this whole thing for an actor to wait. And I just wonder, with social media, with actors endorsing, 10, 15 brands each, that's seems to be the average now, how hard is it to wait? Because is there pressure on you to be seen somewhere every day? Either in the press or in a product, somewhere. Do you have to be omnipresent all the time?
It's so much easier to not do a movie but yet be seen today than it was maybe 15 years back, that I don't think that should be the fear. In fact, it's probably easier to make slightly stringent choices or be slightly more selective today, because that not doing a movie doesn't mean that you're not going to be seen and that people are going to forget about you. There are various avenues where you can make your presence felt and you can be seen and you can be heard.
But is there pressure to do that, to make your presence felt? So if you're in between movies, do you feel like, okay, I need to sign something so that I can be seen or go on a show or do something?
I really love sitting on my sofa at home and watching
eating
TV
rajma
and
chawal.
putting,
I've seen your
and
Instagram.
putting my headphones on and going and doing my nice workout session, and I never take them off so nobody comes and talks to me. So I am a little bit of a recluse like that in that way. But yeah, one does understand that there are certain things that you need to do. I mean, you don't need to be excessive about it, but you cannot, I've heard some people say, oh, social media is rubbish, and that's just almost like living in another era. I mean, you need to be real about where we are today. You can make choices about how much you want to, indulge in something, but you can't say that, you can't say this doesn't exist or it's not important, because, come on, the whole world is watching and everything's going digital anyways. You know where it's all going, So yeah, so it's very personal. It's a personal choice. I mean, if you allow it to become an insecurity, then I guess an insecurity in any way is an insecurity. It's not a positive emotion. You should do it because you feel it's necessary for yourself, not because you feel if you don't do it, that's this. So.
Shahid, while accepting one of the many awards you got for Haider, you said, I would like to thank my father who keeps reminding me that we're here to act. Do you think being a Bollywood actor now has become about too many things that are not acting?
It can be. I think we're in a time where everything works, and I think we're in a time where our generation needs to make the right choices. We need to stand up for what we believe in about cinema. We need to back the reason why we became actors, because today good films work. And good films are being made. And good filmmakers are getting opportunities. That didn't happen 10 years back. When I started in 2003, they only wanted to see people wearing sweaters, opening their arms up and running in the snow. That's all that was selling. There was no good cinema being made. There was only one man, Amir Khan, who was trying to do good content. And that's it. There was nobody else trying to do good content. People were just trying to be successful. Cinema was only about entertainment. Cinema is meant to be an experience, and that experience can make you feel various things. Entertainment is one of those things. And that's something that we forgot. But today, I see kids who are relatively new. They got opportunities, they got choices. So if they don't make it, I'll be very disappointed. I think we should make choices today which are the right choices. We should try and promote the right kind of movies. We should not be afraid, because there is a large audience that exists today which is waiting for good movies. We didn't have that situation 10 years back. So today is the time we can make those choices. Today is the time where the universes come together to give people the comfort of making those choices. It wasn't there 15 years back.
Shahid, what percentage of scripts or film offers that come to you do you say no to? They're just not in, they're flat out no.
I hate taking narrations. I hate reading scripts.
What does that leave?
Yeah, because actually reading scripts is still okay, but taking narrations is terrible, because usually sometimes, taking a narration is like, it's like arranged marriage, Yeah, you're going to meet somebody for the first time, and in 5 minutes of meeting them, कि मेरे को interest है भी कि नहीं है. कि अरे ये तो wrong नहीं है. So I was getting late for a meeting. I'll see you. You can't do that in a narration.
You have to hear the whole
You
thing.
you have to sit through 2.5 hours when maybe in the 15th minute okay, this is not something I'm interested in. It doesn't at all. It's like when you go to watch a movie and you really hate that movie, but they lock the cinema door and they tie you up and they say you can't leave to watch the whole thing. And you can't even let the screen know that you don't like it because there's a human being sitting opposite you. So that person, and for all you know, that film might be a blockbuster and or it might be extremely relevant and you just didn't get it, or you were at a certain stage in your life where it wasn't relevant to you. So you can't be rude, but you just have to sit.
What are the tricks?
अच्छा,
I remember.
And then you have to show fake interest. अच्छा, नहीं but पिछले scene में तो ऐसा हुआ था. अच्छा, oh, आलोक ने बोला था. Correct.
I remember Irfan Khan telling me once when that happens, and he's been in those scenarios where he sat and he says, my eyes start watering, and he says I start feeling sleepy, and then he's like, try to go and wash my face, try to, wash my eyes. What do you do?
Yeah, and the worst part is that the person who's narrating, because their focus is completely on you, and their job is to convince you that when your pupils start dilating and you lose interest and your breathing slows down and you start getting that slightly, or when your posture suddenly starts shifting, they know you're not interested. So what happens is that half of them go into depression and they start narrating it really badly. Oh. The other half get over enthusiastic and they want to hold you and tell you you're making the biggest mistake of your life. So either ways, it's messed up. It's a terrible experience. So I prefer to read scripts. The only problem with reading is I'm not much of a reader. So it's easy for me to get bored. So I try and keep my exposure to new content, direct exposure to new content limited.
Do you make your wife sift through the scripts?
Always. Not always before I've read them, but always. I always ask for her advice.
How do they pitch to you? How do you
it starts with meeting people. I think the first thing is you cannot work with somebody that you can't engage with. I mean, you're going to spend a year together, and if you guys can't even maybe
you have to like each
45. You got to, whether you like each other or not, you got to be interested in each other. You got to be interested in what that person wants to say, his voice, his way of expression. Because essentially that's what a filmmaker is going to do. He's going to express himself through a story or a movie or whatever. So you need to be able to relate, and you need to be on the same wavelength when it comes to that. You don't have to love each other as people. I've worked with some filmmakers I've had huge fights with, and we've done great work together. So that happens. And that's part of movie making process. But you need to believe in each other as creative beings. I mean, you need to find a connect there. And then there's an exchange of ideas, and there are various ways in which films, I've said yes to films. I've sometimes just said yes to a film because I wanted to work with a filmmaker. So those decisions are based on different things, and at different times you do it for different reasons. And so I think I hear a script when I feel like, in all probability, I will want to work with this person, and I really like the idea that they have, and I feel that they have a really interesting way of wanting to say that story. So I want to be a part of this story. I like the way this guy thinks about telling this story, and I like the character that he's offering me. Once these things kind of feel right, then you get into a scenario where you're actually either going to accept or reject somebody. I think that's not a nice place to be, where somebody feels rejected by you. So I try and minimize that as much as I can, because that's not a good feeling.
Have you ever fallen asleep during a narration?
I've not fallen asleep during a narration, but there have been many narrations where I have said at interval that there's a family emergency. आप स्क्रिप्ट छोड़ जाओ, मैं कल तक बता दूंगा आपको, but अभी ना मेरे को जाना है. So I have left at interval. I've never gone to sleep, but I sometimes just cannot sit through the whole thing. So I've just excused myself at interval time. It's always been like, मेरे को ना bathroom जाना है. I go up and then I'm like, I can't read the whole thing. Just say there's a family emergency. So that has happened, yeah.
Have there been films, Shahid, that you said no to for whatever reason, that went on to become massive? I'm sure those would be there, but where you've regretted that choice, or you felt, I misjudged this? Yeah.
I remember, I don't want to talk about those films because I don't usually like to talk about films that I didn't do, or that automatically makes another actor the second choice, so I don't like. But yeah, there have been a couple of films, not too many, 2 or 3 films that, one I couldn't do because I had date problems and I really regretted the fact that I wasn't a part of it, and a couple of films that I just didn't get. I was like, I saw the film and I walked up to the filmmaker and I was like, wow. I just did not get what was in your head. And that's a great film. So that has happened a couple of times, yes.
And have there been films where you've really believed in them and they haven't worked? And has that ever shaken your own faith in your gut?
You know, usually you realize at some point during a film when it's going wrong that it's going wrong. So by the time it actually comes out and fails, you kind of have that fear. You know that this might not work. So to be completely shocked with the final result of a film is not something that has happened. But there have been times where films have underperformed. And there have been times where I've been like, oh really, the people really liked it that much? So that has happened. But I've never been a part of a film which I thought was going to be amazing and it turned out to be crap. That hasn't happened. No.
Shahid, you were asked on Twitter if there's anything that you'd want to change about yourself, and you said many things.
Again now, which year, which month, which Rajeev?
Achha, so now you don't want to change anything.
No, I want to, I'm just
No, that's all you said.
giving a disclaimer before this 2010 say these questions that
Achha,
you've
wo
been...
pata nahi na, since how long have you been on Twitter, yeah? For
It's
3,
been a...
4 years.
Anyways, what is your question?
So what are these things?
What do you want to change about yourself?
I'm not a morning person. I want to change that about myself because every night I go to sleep thinking I'm going to wake up early in the morning and go for a run, man. That's just the best way to start the day. But I wake up groggy and I want my coffee. So that's one thing I really want to change about myself because I think it's great to start early and to start fresh. And I'm somebody who takes a couple of hours to get to that point. So, and I always envy people. I envy people who can do short naps. Like my wife is a pro. Like halfway through a conversation, she's taken a nap and she's woken up and I was still talking. She's like, huh? Yeah. And a little bit of the mascara is, moved, so you know. I was like, did you take a nap? Yeah. But I heard everything you said. Anyways, so yeah, that's one thing I think which I would love to do because I take an hour to wind down and go to sleep. And right now, I have a baby at home who wakes up every 3 hours. So I wake up every 3 hours. So then essentially I'm sleeping for an hour. Because after I wake up, I take an hour to go to sleep. Then I sleep for an hour. And then she wakes up.
How has being a husband and a father impacted on your acting? Has it informed your performances in any way? I'm
hardly working. So I guess the first thing that's happened with turning a husband is that...
You're jobless?
Yeah. I don't want to say it, but that's the truth. No, seriously, it's I don't know how it's changed me as an actor, but I know it's changed me as a person, and the fact that it's changed me as a person will naturally show in my work in the future. I think I'm a lot more centered. I think I'm a lot more centered. I understand the priorities in my life. I understand what I want to focus on and what I want to give my time to. So it's kind of brought me together because I think when you're single, there's so many things that you can do. When you're an individual and you're independent, which is what I was living alone for more than 10 years, So everything was possible. I could do whatever I wanted. I was the master of my own will. And that kind of changes. And in the beginning, it's really difficult because you feel like, oh my God, I can't do what I want to do anymore. And then I started feeling like, why was I doing all those things? This is awesome. It's so beautiful. I know what I want to do. I know what my day looks like. I know where I want to be when I'm free. And when I'm not here, then I know I want to work. And when I'm not working, I want a little time to chill and maybe get a workout session. And this is it. I love that. So I love the fact that it's kind of defined my my priorities. It makes me feel a lot more centered. And yes, I feel very happy as well. It's great to come back home. I always used to feel I used to come back to an empty house. And I never, even when I won all those awards for Heather, I came back to an empty house and clicked a selfie and put it on Instagram and said, going to sleep with my trophy. But I actually wanted to sit and talk to somebody and just share the fact that I waited so many years for this. And I thought I deserved this for Kamine, but I never got it. And finally I got it for Heather, so I feel that amazing feeling, And so it's just great to share. And that actually makes everything worth it when you can share your happiness with somebody. And I can do that now more than ever. So that's great.
What's it like coming home to wife and baby?
You don't want to leave. I never want to leave. It's very, I don't know, I guess only when whoever here has been a father or is a, obviously is a father, will understand it cannot be defined. I remember having this conversation with a few friends, who had children, and I asked them that, so, like, what should I expect? And they just smiled and looked at me and said, you know, words will always fall short. And now I understand what they mean. It's an amazing feeling. And yeah, it's an amazing feeling. I'm ready to, you know, it gives you a lot of strength. I feel very strong. I feel strong because I want to fight for Misha. I want to be my best for her, you know, and that gives you a lot of strength. So that's inherently the feeling every morning. I want to get up and do a better job at everything, you know, because I want her to be proud of me. So.
Shahid, you've got a massive online following, which we've talked about. And
ये online पे picture करना चाहिए boss.
You should. Now, you know, all these guys, these Shahid Kapoor lovers, the Shanatics, all these various groups all over the world. What is the key to this social media success?
I have no idea. I've never tried to I've just expressed myself whenever I felt like. I have always loved clicking pictures.
Those pictures don't hurt, yeah. I'm guessing the fan following.
Of course. That's why every time the abs are showing,
Love
you
you,
click
my
a picture.
Jaan. Yeah. आपको देख के कुछ होता है.
Sorry, I can't answer any of these things anymore, you know. To go back home to my
Hotness and
wife.
that smile.
Do you always embarrass people who come here to support the film festival?
Speciality.
Those are very, very kind words, and I honestly have no idea why. Oh, there's more.
So they're celebrating hashtag 13 years of Shahid Kapoor.
Way too mushy.
You know, is this good balm for at the end of long, tiring days, bad days at work?
In moments of great insecurity, it does help, yes. But the problem is, when your movie's not doing well, over that weekend, you're reading these tweets saying, amazing, Shahid, loved it, and all this. And you're like, no, man. No, there's not enough of you. You're the guy who got it wrong. You're the guy because of which I signed the wrong film.
But you know, it's funny you say that because every time as reviewers, I don't know if you've had that, and we've reviewed a film badly and that actor's fans will attack you like,
Yeah.
how could you not like this film? And like, यार इतने होते तो इतने picture में जाके देखते तो मतलब picture गंदी नहीं होती, picture flop नहीं होती, तो हम पे गुस्सा निकालने का क्या फायदा?
See, that's going to happen, Rajeev.
हाँ.
Just deal with it.
Okay, just.
Like we deal with your reviews sometimes. So deal with it. You know, you give a little, take a little. Collateral damage.
ठीक है.